YouTube has this section in their analytics website, studios, called Inspiration. And basically, it gives you some video topics. And I've only done videos that I got topics from here once. And it's been a while since I did that. So today, let's talk about one of these topics. These videos, will they really inspire me? I'm not really sure, but I don't know. I guess that's what YouTube thinks I'm inspired by. So today, let's talk about how to become positive in life. And some similar ideas are letting go of what you can't control, how to focus on the positive, happiness and fulfillment, the ultimate guide, the secret to living a meaningful life. Okay, so these are, I think, what the AI thinks are somewhat related topics. But how do we become positive in life? This is a good question to contemplate, right? And many of us do things for a reason. So, waterfall. Water falls down because gravity, right? So waterfall tends to also focus water on a specific portion of the waterfall so that the water can fall. When you have a waterfall, the water doesn't splurge onto other, parts, right? It's focused. So what makes it focused? What makes the waterfalls focused? It's the geography, right? Like the geography of the waterfall, the stream, it converges into one point. That's what channels the water there, and then gravity does its job. So in nature, the grounding, energy of what makes things possible is force, like literal force. F equals ma, that kind of a thing, right? So gravity is a force, and electromagnetism, and that's also a force. So all these things are at force in nature. So that's why when you throw a rock up, it goes up and then it reaches a velocity of 0 and then it starts coming down again because of gravity. This is why things happen in the physical world. Now, another dimension to the world is like biology, right? So why do people grow old? Why do babies grow? This is all because it's sort of in the DNA, right? When you plant a seed and you give it lots of sunshine, why does it become a tree? Why does it become a flower? Why does it become a fruit? It's just encoded in the DNA. So it has nothing to do with physics. So for example, why do plants grow upwards when gravity is pulling them down? That has nothing to do with gravity. It just has more to do with the force of life, right? So when you think of life, that is what drives most of the actual things that are happening. So gravity and big forces are in play in the physical world. Life is in the biological realm. Okay, but the thing that we're talking about today is positivity, right? And positivity is kind of a construct. It's not really a part of, physics. It's not really a part of biology, right? So positivity is like a man-made concept. So, which means it's in the metaphysical realm as opposed to the physical realm or the biological realm. So, what makes something happen in the metaphysical realm? And many times it is point. There is a point in doing something. In our internal system, there's this measure of good and bad, or there's this sense of purpose. So whenever we do something, it's good. So for example, why am I fanning like this? Because it's hot. And when I'm recording a video, I tend to focus, and then that makes me a little bit hot. And then when I have this fan, it incurs a bit of my physical energy, but at the same time, it makes me feel cool. There's a point in doing this. What if the fanning actually made me hotter? Or what if the fanning, I did it too hard, now I'm cold? Then it kind of defeats the point, right? So the point is what motivates and drives a lot of our actions in our world here. Okay, so why am I talking about this in a video about positivity? Okay, so what is positivity? Positivity is a perspective, right? I drank tea today morning, and everyone knows the half cup empty, half cup full kind of a thing, right? But the thing is, it's the same cup. It's the same cup, but depending on the perspective, it is both half full and both half empty. Another one of my analogies that I really like is a room full of balloons. The room is so full of balloons, you can't fit any more balloons in it. So the room in that sense is really, really full, right? But at the same time, when you look at the room, is it actually full? Because the balloon is just a bunch of empty space, right? So when you look at the, balloon-wise it's full, but when you look at the room itself, it's like, it's full of space. But then again, it's the same room. So the same room is full and empty at the same time. It depends on the perspective that you are trying to utilize. So for example, for the purposes of filling in more balloons in the room, it is full. Because I can open the door, but it's already filled up to the brim, right? But from the context of, whoa, there's a there's a big threat happening, and we need to use this balloon room as a shelter and the bunker. So we're gonna squeeze in a bunch of people here, even if it pops a few balloons. In that case, the balloon is just gonna go, and now the room is just gonna be now empty, right? It's gonna have a lot more space so that it can actually be full. So depending on your needs, depending on your context, depending on the point, we pick the perspective, right? So we think this is an oil paper that I use to control the grease on my face. Is this small or big? Well, what is it? Is it small or big? Well, compared to my ring, it's big, right? Compared to this book, it's small. Compared to this map of Amsterdam, it's like a reasonably same size, but this is a little bit smaller. But the same map, when I unfold it, now it's a lot bigger, right? Compared to my pinky toe, my pinky nail, it's big. Okay, so what's the inherent quality of this just by itself? Is it small or is it big? By itself, it has no inherent quality. Qualities are always ascribed to things in context, right? So when faced with this question, what is this? One branch of Buddhism will say it is void. One branch of Buddhism will reply to you in silence. And so on. But now you get the concept, right? Nothing has any inherent qualities in it. Because qualities are ascribed by the perspective that we give to it. Okay, so that means you could have your parents murdered by a group of thugs in the style of Batman. That is largely seen as a bad thing. That is largely seen as an unfortunate thing. But at the same time, depending on the perspective, it gave birth to Gotham's greatest detective. So in one lens, to the citizens of Gotham, where the police department isn't really doing a good job because of the relative size difference of the crime versus justice, Batman is a really great thing to have happened to them, right? So from their perspective, this is like a pretty good thing that happened. So like this, anything and everything has different kind of perspective you can ascribe to it. No single event is actually bad in inherence. No single event is good by the virtue of its experience. Everything is relative and subjective to the point of the interpretation, right? Now, I spent quite a bit of time motivating this, but now that we have said all this, we can get to the actual point. How do we become positive in life? We become positive in life by recognizing that there is no inherent reason for us to be negative. Because we may be under the guise, we may be under the spell that there are bad things that are happening to us, therefore it warrants some kind of negative reaction. But through this lengthy motivation, I'm trying to tell you that no such inherently negative thing exists. Nothing is inherently negative just because it happened. Because everything is up to perspective, and everything is up to the context in which you view things at. I was fired once. I thought it was the worst thing that happened in my life. But, a few years passed and my life took many turns. Now I think it's a great thing that happened, because if I hadn't been fired that day, my life would look completely different. And I happen to really like the life that I'm living right now. So if I were to trade that for some stocks, for a little bit of more of my personal riches, I think in retrospect that sounds like a really miserable way to live. But who knows, right? Like I could be having a really great time working for the company that I used to work at, right? Who knows? But the thing is, I could continue to stay in the negative zone of like, I was so fucking stupid. Like, what the fuck was I thinking? And like, how could let this really good chance of my life go to waste? And I'm such a horrible waste of a human being, and I'm not really good enough to do anything, and blah blah blah. Like, I was lucky to get that job in the first place, but then like no one's gonna hire me again. It was just a fluke. Okay, so I can continue to participate in that. And now we come to the more important point. Like, why though? What purpose does that serve me? And that is the grand question that really motivates this whole thing. Why aren't people positive? Because, number one, they think there is inherence to events. There are inherently positive things, and they haven't happened to me. There are inherently negative things, and they happened to me. But also, once they know that it is up to perspective, they don't see the point in being positive. Moreover, many people think that being positive can lead to being more disappointed because it gives you false hope. And so, when you can see yourself being punished every time you expect something good, every time you become positive, every time you take an action out of, positive hopes, you find yourself coming back to that familiar feeling of defeat and disappointment. Then isn't it natural that you would lose the pull to be positive? Because being positive for you is working against you. So being positive doesn't have a point. But when you stay negative, things aren't as bad as you might catastrophize it to be, which again shows you you're getting the positivity out of your negativity, right? So the more you understand the fluidity of your mind, and the more you understand whatever you derive value out of is the point. Therefore, how you are living life right now has a point to you. It makes sense to you. So that underlying thought mechanism of what means something to you, what has a point to you, needs to change if you want to live life more positively. And that is largely the job that I am trying to do with these YouTube videos. Did you enjoy this video? Well, I tried my heart to teach you about a concept today, and I do that on my channel all the time. I want to teach you the skill of teaching anyone anything. As a life coach, I teach people how to remove suffering from their lives. As a software engineer, I teach computers what they need to do. Teaching has always been a part of my life, and it's a skill that I think helps any profession, any age, any point in life. I think it's a valuable skill to have, and I want you to have it. I am teaching a $20 class on October 12th, and if you want more information about it, you can check it out in the link below or the comments, and I want you to register for it.